Welcome to Release for Results. It's a Course in Miracles workbook series where we're going through the Course in Miracles workbook and just releasing any of the energy that comes up that the Course talks about. There could be a lot of resistance to these ideas and using whatever comes up for you, letting it go so you can experience what the Course is talking about. Like my happiness and my function are one. Today's lesson 66. So there's this idea that there's something other than our happiness that we're doing, or that we need. So the ego has ideas about what is going to make us happy. So there was a much earlier lesson. I do not perceive my own best interests, and that. So I'm running around after all these things, thinking that's going to make me happy. Though there's one thing that's happy. It's one thing, and that is fulfilling your function, being what you're here to be and do, saving salvation of yourself and everyone else through forgiveness and experiencing the happiness that comes when you're fulfilling your function, forgiving yourself and the world. And the one thing, God's will for you, it says in a later lesson, is perfect happiness. Perfect happiness. That's all you're here to experience and do. And that's what the Holy Spirit is consistently offering you. Could you allow yourself to experience that your happiness and your function, your purpose for being here are one, are one. So as we go through this, just allow whatever energy comes up for you and just be with it without further attack thoughts, attacking the energy or the thoughts that come up in your mind. It's okay. There's a human experience. We've simply made a little bit of an error, and that's all right. So, without further compounding the issues here, without piling up more attack and more guilt, could you? This is where what we're doing here is releasing it. We're letting it come up, and we're letting it go. So, whatever comes up for you, could you allow it? Sit with it, surrender it, turn it over, give it up. There could be a great temptation to hold on to some other function than your happiness, attacking yourself or attacking the world. There could be a great temptation to make an idol of money and people and things. And rather than be happy, let your happiness be dependent on what those situations are. Though there's one function for you, and that is one with your happiness. Could you allow that to be? So lesson 66, my happiness and my function are one. Is there some sense that your happiness has something to do with other than your being? My happiness and my function are one. Is there any risk to your happiness? Is there anything that would not have you be happy? And that's okay. Could you let any illusion come up of any temptation to be unhappy? And could you just notice behind any thought that comes up for you, how it feels? Whether that feeling's labeled or not, that's fine. It's just a feeling. And could you allow that energy to move without judging or moralizing about it? And could you surrender this energy and any temptation to depart from your function and your happiness? Would you surrender and allow your happiness and your function to be one? When could you surrender? My happiness and my function are one. And the ego may attempt to do battle. There's might bring up that there's something other to do than to be happy, that you need things to be happy, that there's things you have to do to earn this happiness. You can only be happy if. And that's okay. Just allowing any of this stuff to come up. The power, the Holy Spirit, isn't doing battle with the ego. It doesn't even respond. But you just allow whatever's coming up other than your happiness, like you have to do something else than fulfill your function and be happy. Just noticing any of the egos ranting and raving, chattering, battling with this idea that your happiness and your function are one. And respond to it not, just let it be there. Just sit with whatever seems to be happening just for now. Could you do that? Feeling it, noticing it, and yet not responding, nothing to change, control, or modify. Your light, the power, cannot be touched by these chatterings, this energy. Could you allow whatever's coming up to come up in fullness so that it might run out? And could you let go of this energy and all the fighting with your happiness and your function? Would you let go of the fighting, the feeling, the illusions of other than your happiness and your function being one? When could you let go? It's just a chance for right now. For it says in lesson 66, my happiness and my function are one. And there's no question about what your happiness is. In truth, it's what you are. It's what you're here to do. And could you simply notice if there's any contention, any of the senseless arguments that come up other than your happiness and your function being one? Could you allow whatever's coming up into your light? Nothing to fight, change, or modify. Just noticing anything, any feeling, any thoughts without following them, just letting them pass by, nothing to fight or do anything with. Senseless chatterings of the ego and the energy behind them. Not good or bad, nothing to judge or moralize about. It's not even there, except I might be holding on to it. Could you allow yourself to gently hold whatever's coming up for you in the light that you are? And if you can hold it, could you release it? Let go. Would you release this energy, any of these thoughts or temptations other than your happiness and your function being one. Just letting it go. When could you release your happiness and your function always there once the clouds of negativity that have obscured it have been released? And God gives you only happiness. He has given your function to you. Therefore, your function must be happiness. My happiness and my function are one. Oh, and the ego might love to argue with that one. God gives me only happiness. What's all this other stuff? Just what I've bought into in my innocence. Just subscribing to illusion. You're free to buy into, to hold on to choose perspectives that you give your power to. It's always optional. Could you notice any contention with this idea that God gives you only happiness and therefore your function must be happiness? And there's nothing to respond to react to, just letting anything come up that would attempt to challenge, fight, or deny your function, your happiness. It can touch you not. Could you just let it be there? Let this energy move? And could you surrender the battle? Just letting any of this energy, any of this contention with your happiness being your function, go. Would you surrender making idols of other than your happiness? Release that, turn it over. It's just a choice. Would you surrender the insanity of choosing something other than happiness as your function? You might just be happy. And it's okay. You know, I subscribe to all kinds of insane things that I think are important or I need to do. It happens, it's part of the human experience. So without condemning or judging yourself for anything that's coming up, you just allow it to come up into the light of your forgiveness, allowing it to run out, releasing it, letting it go, surrendering it, and forgiving yourself, and thereby forgiving these other children of God who are subscribed to some other function than being happy. All erroneous ideas we've adopted in our innocence. And could it just be okay? And could you allow yourself to release your way to your function, your only function being to be happy? Could you allow that for yourself today, your function and your happiness being one? You might remind yourself throughout the day, my happiness, and my function are one. Thanks for releasing with us. We'll do it again tomorrow and have the best day you can, being happy and releasing anything other than that.